least just want to verify. Oh yeah, I want to make sure I have the chat up here as well. Finally got Restream working for multicasting and all that. And it looks like 3 of 3, so that's Facebook, Facebook, Twitch, and I probably should have made sure. Is it okay to have to say everyone's last names and everything?
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Probably should have asked that sooner.
Yeah, as long as it wasn't live, right?
Well,
live.
It's live now.
So here I'm live with Tyler. Oh, hey, can I say your last name? Yeah. Okay. No. Oh, awkward. Transition to the next topic.
Yeah. No, that literally would have been the case because I actually have your name up on the template now. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. You just see it get blurred out like an eraser.
That'd be great.
So I'm also doing something. I needed to change my. I used to use my iPad for my soundboard, and now since that broke completely, this is the most. You probably will never see a more messed up tablet display, but I don't know if you can see this. How it's got this big streak through it. I'm sure you can see that.
Oh yeah, that's a cool feature.
Yeah.
Sir, I used to work at an Apple store.
You've seen it all.
I have seen an iPad folded in half like a taco.
I feel like this is getting to that point.
Surprisingly, no. It got run over. So
Surprisingly.
the tire went right through the middle of it and just folded the thing in half. And they're like, does Apple Care cover this? No. No, it does not.
So much. Oh, yeah, let me make sure I've got volumes okay. I think so. I think it sounds... Volume sound...
Volume sound.
As far as I can
you guys
tell.
sound good to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Actually, yeah, maybe I'll just do real quick. Sorry. Can you guys...
Yeah. Talking into the microphone to do a sound check. It's always weird, I was fine talking about whatever, but now that people are, I'm on the spot.
No, it's all good.
I don't know what to say. Yeah.
I think it looks okay.
Oh, performance anxiety. No. Somebody's listening.
Yeah, I think they look good. I think Discord's pretty good about those levels, it seems.
It does all right, yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. I guess we're ready to go then. Any questions?
What's a podcast?
Yeah.
No. It seems pretty straightforward.
All right.
I remember listening to one episode like a couple months ago.
Cool. Yeah, I've been listening to yours lately as well.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, good stuff. All right.
We all got to support each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, I'm bored. I got time.
That too.
Nice. All right. Well, without postponing it too much longer, let's just go right ahead. See if I remember how to do this now. All right. And I usually count down too, so here we go. And then you hear our second countdown. In 3, 2, 1.
Tech Bees.
Hello and welcome back to Techies, the podcast about simplifying our lives one gadget at a time. This is episode number 93 for Sunday, March 22nd, 2020. I know it's been a very long hiatus, and now we are sans... I'm down 2 co-hosts officially now, but that opens up new opportunities. And today, I have joined with me two contestants that I was on this lovely podcast called America's Next Top Podcaster with. First and foremost, we have Travis Crawford.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing today?
I am doing quite well. It has been. It's an interesting time we're living in right now.
Boy, howdy, isn't it? I did leave the house today, but it was only to get a few provisions. So, just doing my best to stay hunkered down in my little dragon's den here.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, I did throw that on the stream. I don't know if you caught that.
I saw that. That's great.
Nice. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, and congrats on your new place, by the way. It
Thank you.
seems like a good deal. And also
So far.
Also joining us is Tyler Cardwell.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. It's you guys were super fun. You both were on my team at one point or another on America's Next Top Podcaster, and that was both incredibly fun and super stressful at the same time. But
Yeah, surprisingly stressful. Like it's a you wouldn't think that it was, but it just turned out to be.
yep, and it's kind of glad to be behind me, but at the same time, you guys were great. You made it that much easier along the way. So I appreciate your partnership and everything.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. And I miss parts of it, but I definitely don't miss the stress of like, I need to do something tonight on top of, everything else that was going on at the time. And now it would be a lot easier, right?
Yeah, I was gonna
Because
say
I'll be
now it's a
home.
great time to be part of it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, without further ado, let's dive into this.
News.
Forbes reports meet the Italian engineers 3D printing respirator parts for free to help keep coronavirus patients alive. And I'm sure you probably have heard about this at this point, but this is a hospital in, I don't know how to pronounce this, Chiari, maybe Italy, that needed respirators pretty badly. As you can imagine, they kept patients requiring oxygen. That's what these respirators did. And the manufacturer that normally does these, they couldn't print them fast enough. They couldn't provide them fast enough. But there's a CEO of Isanova, I guess that's maybe how you pronounce that, named Christian Fracassi. I'm not good with Italian names, as you can tell. He and his engineers began work to 3D print this Venturi valve. Everything's Italian. Everything's very Italian. Connects to a face mask for fixed concentration of oxygen. Each patient needs one, a new one each time. Hence, running out like that. So they brought a prototype to the hospital on Sunday. I assume that's a week ago, last Sunday. They needed 100 and printed all of them the same day. They mentioned Saturday night they had a prototype. The next day they brought them to the hospital and had 100 of them. I don't even know how's that possible. That doesn't seem like they must really have a lot of 3D printers, but
Well, or they have better 3D printers than I do. 'Cause
exactly.
It would take a long time for me to print 100 of anything.
Right. And they all, I guess, well, I didn't necessarily say they all worked, but they worked nonetheless. Let's just say most of them worked. Also in need are parts like ventilators and, man, they're just really, these names, nasopharyngeal,
Nasopharyngeal.
yeah, swabs. Just some examples of other parts that they need out there in the world, I would imagine. Normally, you need these 3D parts to be certified, but due to emergency rules, that's being waived, as you can imagine. So, is Isanova's engineer Alessandro Ramaioli designed the valves and said, quote, we know the product you will bring will never be the same. That's just basically stating that it's never gonna, each part's gonna be a little bit different, as I'm sure anybody that does 3D printing understands. Not everyone's got a little bit of some intricate differences. Isanova offered them for free, even though they cost €2 or €3, or or $2 to $3. I guess I don't know. Is that close right now? But
I
that's according to the
I
article.
don't know the exchange rate.
Right. Now they're making 100 a day and talking to a second hospital. So different valves and potential patent litigation are some problems that could occur along the way here as they're trying to make more. As you can imagine, different hospitals have different valves. So not just valves, they have different respirators altogether, and just require a different valve. So this person's name has an E at the end. Their first name, Dave. In the article, it says Dave. It looks like Dave, or is it David? Maybe Sher?
Probably David.
Okay, we'll go with that. David Sher of 3D Printing Media Network originally wrote this story, and in addition to that, they created a forum now to be able to talk about to share different ideas to help fight COVID-19. And so David also had here to say, quote, while there are both copyright issues and medical issues that need to be taken into account when 3D printing any medical product, and a critical one such as a Venturi valve in particular, this case has shown that a life and death situation could warrant using a 3D printable replica, end quote. Isonovo now working on other parts. They're now working on other parts, first of which is a mask, although which... I don't know. Something about that. I always get the impression that printed things, or specifically 3D printed things, is not something you want to breathe in, but maybe once it's...
I mean,
once
it's already a
cured.
valve.
Once it's cured or
Yeah.
whatever.
Because a valve, you're breathing through that valve too. So
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, good point. Interesting, though, because, when I don't know if you guys both, have you played WoW at one point or another?
Years ago.
yeah,
Okay.
it was a long time ago, but I have.
Because they had this, and I don't know if it exists anymore, this Figure Prints company. They were one of the first instances of anything I ever heard of using 3D printing where you could 3D print your character. And I remember at that time they were talking about how people had to, I think, always have masks on when they were around while they were doing this, but maybe they've perfected that at this point. I guess the home bought ones aren't necessarily, maybe that's not the case.
Yeah, and some of it depends on the material you're using to print as well.
Sure.
But it doesn't necessarily say in the article that they are 3D printing the mask. They're just also manufacturing a mask.
Right.
So it may or may not actually be a 3D printed one. They may just be leveraging some of their other, industry equipment to make these masks.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So then, Fracassi also went on to say, quote, we are waiting for a response, and if it works, we are ready. Then every hospital can make their own masks. Now, that line kind of threw me a little bit because, well, can they make their own masks specifically? I mean, if they had their own printer, I guess, but...
Yeah, I think that's the idea. I think that probably is the idea that scares the people who hold the copyright that this article is talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Where if the hospital could just, we need this part or this thing, and they just do it themselves, and now that company is out of a business if they can just print it themselves.
Right.
Yeah, it's such a weird fine line too, because on one hand, you need these parts, and they're super high demand, and if the manufacturer can't meet that demand right now for whatever reason, and it's a life or death situation, you want to get that done, but from the aspect of the manufacturer and the people that hold the patent, so it's a weird situation. Like, I'm going to fall to the side always of doing the most good. So, throw the patent out the window in my estimation.
Yeah.
At least until things calm back down, and that's where you can start to get into like, okay, now that we're no longer in a global pandemic, now we can enforce patent again or something like that. But it's a slippery slope for sure.
Sure.
Right.
And once you open that door, the horses are out.
Right.
Because now people know. Oh, well, why do we go back to the old system where we have to pay this other company? Why can't we just do it ourselves?
Yeah. That's definitely a big part of it. And, things are changing. I mean, they're literally changing right in front of our eyes. And the technology to be able to do this wouldn't have existed especially not in the scale that it is 10 years ago, to be able to 3D print, and design, come up with, I mean, think about that. They were able to come up with a prototype and within a day have 100 of those made for this hospital, and they worked. Like, that's just phenomenal to think. And I have the same technology sitting in the other room here that I could conceivably do that. It would take me longer, but I have the ability to do something like that, and that to me is fascinating.
Right.
Where we are, from even 10, 15 years ago.
Because even though this is, as people keep saying how these are unprecedented times and everything, how at the same time we have the technology to kind of fight it more than ever. So yeah, it's cool stuff. And there were some other, I'd considered talking about some other articles here. Maybe, if I do another episode next Sunday, I'm sure I'll have more to talk about. For now, I'm going to keep it at this for the sake of time. And we're going to go on to a little more to our, for lack of a better term, goofier segment. And here we go.
Because we need some goofy in the world right now.
What's that?
Sorry. It's just saying we need some goofy in the world right now.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You know what really grinds my gears?
You know what really grinds my gears? Lotion pumps. That sounds like a weird thing to say. So you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you get these bottles of lotion and also hand soap, really. You see them all the time. I mean, what other products do you see? There's just plenty of other. I don't know. I was trying to decide, is it a liquid? Is it somewhere between a liquid and a solid? It's a gel, right? What we're talking about here?
Yeah, a lot of times it's a gel, but you see the same concept as in like water pistols too.
Fair enough. So yeah.
And
it's very convenient up until the point when it's not. I think when you're, when it quote unquote runs out, I find that to be anything but true. And then because I want to maximize. I don't want to put any of that to waste. So you end up putting water in it or whatever, and that's, I don't know if that's great. It's. In the case of hand soap, I guess you're getting less, if it's antibacterial soap, you're getting less of that, and that's not ideal either. But
yeah, but I mean, on that front, I don't really care about my soap being antibacterial or not, because that's not its job. Its job is to clean off things.
That's true.
But you're right in that, like the pump mechanism itself, which really hasn't changed in how long. I mean,
right,
and it has its limitations. Maybe if they made every pump act like a super soaker, so the pump is actually going to pressurize. So then you just fire out hand sanitizer at like 400 feet per second.
That'd be cool.
Did either of you guys have the which one? Did you have super soakers growing up?
Oh yeah.
I also, well, you know what? Trying to remember. I think I had the 100, and then my brother got the 200. I want to say. Or was it 400?
Was like a bazooka.
Yeah, it was like a double, a side by side, something like that. Or that was just the tanks, right? It had two tanks. That was crazy.
I could see that working though. I mean, for a soap pump.
Yeah.
The part that always irritates me is like the sensor. Not, I'll put my hand underneath it. I'll get a tiny bit, and it's like, okay, well, I need like another one of these, please. And I'm like waving my hand there, and nothing's coming out, and it's like, okay, fine, I'll deal with this.
Yeah.
That's the part that irritates me.
I'll wash my hands with half the amount of soap I need. That's fine.
Yeah, I guess you're the soap expert, soap dispenser.
Now that you mention it, those automated ones, they probably do a better job because it's got the little bag in there, right? It doesn't even necessarily need to be automated because, I've seen the ones, and I guess they're more professional grade. There's got the bag in there, and some of them you pump manually also. Yeah, they have the manual ones and the automated ones, but it seems to do a better job of getting the bag, empty, really.
Yeah, because you're not relying on a hose sticking down to the bottom of something that has corners, right?
Right.
Where it's using negative pressure to pull that out. Like this is the bag; it's just collapsing the bag every time.
Exactly. So, but at the same time, for home use, I'm probably not going to go out and buy a professional grade, although I could. Maybe that would solve my issue here. But
As often as we're supposed to be washing our hands now, you might need to.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
You got to
true.
maximize that soap.
Well, I did happen to
So much.
buy one of those bigger bottles of, I mean, it is antibacterial, honestly, but, the bigger refillable bottle, just because I was being cheap, honestly. And that ended up being a good thing to have, given the.
I mean,
Yeah.
no, that's the way to go. I use Dawn as like dish soap and hand soap. Might as well. It's soap, whatever.
Yeah.
But I buy it like once every 2 years because I just go to Costco. I buy the gigantic jug and just keep refilling it. I'll probably have to do it every year now, but
yeah.
yeah, that's the way to go.
And up until recently, I told myself, I wasn't sure. I told myself, up until recently, man, but I need hand soap for my hands, right? Like, and then I came to realization that, wait, if it's good enough to wash what I eat off of, you'd think it'd be good enough for my hands, right? So
Plus,
yeah,
I find, I don't know, maybe it dries your hands out more than lotion soap, right? Like soap that's designed for your hands, but whatever. Use some lotion.
exactly.
I just think soap is soap, and I kind of gave up on the antibacterial. It's more marketing than anything. So that's more what grinds my gears for me. less so much the mechanism of getting the soap as I don't need to buy your stupid antibacterial soap.
Fair enough. There's
tell
a
me
lot
what
of
to buy.
things. There's a lot of things here to grind our gears, really. The closest thing I came to, though, I do have I think they call it something like a smart pump at work. Not at work, but it's one that a bottle I brought to work. That's something that definitely sounds like marketing now that I think about it. But I'm wondering. We'll see when I get to the end of it. I'm hoping maybe that means that it'll use up more of that soap at the bottom. I don't know for sure, but we shall see. I think what would help is if they didn't use, I could be way off base here, but I would think if they use a more flexible tube that it could get down into the crevices a little better. Just a thought.
I mean, why not make the bottom of the container a cone, a rounded cone, and then the tube just goes straight down to the bottom of the cone, and then as your level goes down, it only has one place to go, and that's right where the hose.
And you know what
So
else?
That's the $1 billion idea right there. You need to patent that.
Yes.
All right, hang on. I'm gonna hang up this call right now.
Where did it go? And the other thing that does is it makes them make less lotion, so it's being cheap. I mean, maybe it would require more plastic in the container. I don't know.
I'm sure it'd change the design. You'd need to make the bottom of it would now need feet or some kind of other piece of a cylinder. It'd be more complex of a design.
Feel free to take these ideas though, whoever you are out there. I mean, we don't know.
Somebody make it happen is what we're saying.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't
3D
want to speak for
print a
Tyler,
prototype.
but
Yeah, there we go.
all right.
I'll work on that. We'll workshop it. We'll see what we get.
Sounds good. Well, then I suppose we can move right along to this.
XP. Boost.
And this week's XP Boost is brought to you by... No, and I don't do that. I do have the AirPods Pro, though. Oh. No, it's...
Before we get too far, though,
Yeah.
I both love and hate the name.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, let's talk about that. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Because everybody...
Yeah.
And I guess I've gotten used to it enough at this point to say it that way, but totally agree. Sounds completely wrong the first time you hear it.
Yeah, it's
And I don't know exactly why.
like AirPods. I get AirPod Pro, okay, but AirPods Pro
Right.
because you never hear that. Everybody always calls it the AirPod Pros, which sounds like it should be in a book. I don't know, but I used to work at an Apple retail store a few years ago. It wasn't an Apple store, like it wasn't an officially branded one. It was a local, because I live in a place that doesn't have enough population density to get Apple up here. I heard every iteration you could think of AirPods, of MacBook, of MacBook Air, of AirBook, Mac Pro, and nobody ever got it right.
Right.
Ever. I need my Mac Air Pro. No, that doesn't exist. You got really good at being able to translate what they were trying to say into what it was. So when I heard AirPods Pro, I was like, oh, Apple. Really?
What are you doing
Now
to me?
you're just doing it yourself.
Maybe they just gave up. They're like, well, we know you're going to get the name wrong anyway, so.
Fine, whatever. AirPods Pro. I don't care.
I mean, as long as I'm guessing. I mean, most of the employees there weren't like. Even though sometimes Apple people can come off as pretentious, I'm assuming you probably were not correcting people at every time they. No,
Not to their
actually,
face.
it's AirPods Pro
Yeah, no, not to their face.
behind
I
their
had
back.
more respect than that, but perhaps behind their back, and it depended on the person. Like for the most part, we knew what they were saying, but
Right.
Yeah. Everybody freaked out with the iPad name. It's like, oh, it's like a maxi pad. You know, it's like a sanitary thing.
Right. Right.
And no one makes that joke anymore. So maybe we're
That's
just at
true.
the beginning of it.
I'm
Yeah.
just waiting for them to come up with the iPads Pro. It's a dual screen iPad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Folds.
Speaking of which, foldable. I don't know if the foldable one is. I don't know if that tech's going to take off or not, but we shall see.
It will. It's not going to take off in the way that we think.
Right.
Like it's definitely not going to just be a phone that you open up into a larger screen. But that folding tech will happen at some point because you're going to see it where it's going to be like a projection screen that you can pull down.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get televisions that you can do that with, where you can just roll it up and away. Because if you think about it, that makes a lot
Yeah.
more sense than something you stick in your pocket and can come in contact with a ton of dust and dirt all day.
Mm-hmm.
Is something like that you can put up on your wall and you can pull down. You've got your screen, or like think about putting it in front of a window and having like a window shade that you can pull down and have a screen
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
in that kind of thing.
I work in a lot of hotel meetings and stuff, and one of the things we provide still is the paper easel, the flip chart and easel and thing. And I just imagine now, you walk out, you got a little tripod, and then you unroll your screen, a digital screen,
Yep.
and there you go. You know, you can draw on it or whatever. And
Yeah, those are the types of things where you're going to see that folding and rollable technology happen.
It reminds me
More
of the
so.
new what do they call it? The fitness mirror deal. It's just called Mirror, right?
Oh yeah.
They're starting to do more with. We're starting to see more of basically what we saw in what am I thinking of? Total Recall or something where they had things on the screen, or maybe that's Spaceballs. I don't I think they did.
Any of those, right?
Yeah.
Total Recall, Blade Runner, Minority Report, Spaceballs had it.
For sure.
So
That's
you're
cool.
starting to see
Cool.
more of that stuff happening, right? Because that's what's influencing these people. You know,
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
it's life imitating art, imitating life type of deal.
we have flip phones because of the Star Trek communicator from the 60s.
Yep, exactly.
That's true. So Rockabilly John says it's like how the plural of Surgeon General is Surgeons General. I don't even know if
Yes, or attorneys general is another one. That's that.
I don't even know if I realized. I don't think I paid attention to that.
I'd never
It's
realized that. I
interesting.
just assumed it would be attorney generals.
Which
it's,
also-
it's attorneys general and surgeons general. It's weird how English is not a language. English is actually like 3 or 4 languages standing on each other's shoulders wearing a trench coat and trying to get into the party. Like it's just literally every rule in the English language is broken by the English language. It's crazy.
That's fair. Very true. The opposite example of that to me would be everybody says daylight savings time when it's actually daylight saving time, which
Yep.
I just learned like last year or something. But
I just learned it right now.
everyone, well,
Tyler was today years old when he learned that.
the thing is, people I think they shorten it a lot to daylight savings.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, that's incorrect, I guess.
which we just need to get rid of.
Yes, we do. All right, so AirPods.
Right.
So as you can see here, I actually still have both versions, which I probably should try to sell these or something because I haven't used them in since I bought the Pro. I was going to say Pros, which still sounds more correct. As you can see, it's a different shape than this is the original, and the shape is very different. I mean, if you tilt this one, it's kind of close, but as you can see, it's actually it's a little bit bigger than the original, which is fine. It's not like it's taking up that much more space. And frankly, I've heard of people losing this case, so maybe that's a better thing. Inside, though, hopefully this doesn't mess anything up while I'm opening them, but you can see maybe you can't see too well, but the way that they're positioned in there is a bit differently. You see that? I tried to clean them out as best I could. Might see a little bit of dirt in
They
there still.
shaped them a lot different.
Yeah. Having said that, they don't, and this hasn't bothered me too terribly much, but the snap that you get isn't quite as, well, that sounded good, but it's not quite as satisfying sometimes. Like, it doesn't snap. They magnetically snap in there still, but the originals, you can probably hear it a little better. Well, not there, but it gives a very,
Satisfying click.
yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
think-
a much more precise.
I think a lot of that is the change in shape because they added
Yeah.
the silicone tips.
That definitely is a big part of it, and the fact that the stems are shorter now probably
Oh, that's
has
true.
something to do with it. But speaking of the silicone tips, and not silicon, and I think I heard Scott Johnson make this mistake the other day. Even though I had to look back up into this, but they are related. But the long story short of it all is that silicone is more of the man-made version of silicon. Basically, that's kind of what I got from it. Anyway,
I just always remember that silicon is what's on a chip,
Right.
And
Yeah.
silicone is what's in fake boobs.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
You can make that distinction, and that helps.
it does. So yeah, the tips that you see here, let's actually show the product. This is the actual product we have here. Okay, very small, very tiny, but so you can probably see. Hopefully, there's not too much earwax showing up on screen. But the silicone tips, you have. This comes with 3 different sizes, as any other earpods in existence, right? You get the small, medium, large, I guess, if you want to, for lack of a better term, but they do. So the tips themselves, they're a little bit difficult to figure out at first, honestly, but it does snap off once you actually know the amount of pressure that is required to do. Because at first you're a little bit like, how the heck did these things come off here? But you got to pull a little bit. But it does actually snap on there pretty nicely. Pretty satisfying snap. I don't know what it is about that. It's kind of like, it reminds me of the Switch. Like when you snap in the Switch. Actually, I have that here too. It's just
Joy-Cons?
there's something too. There's something about that, There's something about that satisfying. Just
Yeah.
click. It's very satisfying. I don't know what it is.
Yes. Well, so you've had the original AirPods and now the Pro. What's the fit difference like? Because I wore the original a few times, and I was surprised at how well they fit in my ear, but I
Yeah.
still was worried that they were going to fall out at any moment.
Honestly, it's funny because it's very similar. I had a very similar experience. The originals almost never would fall out on me, once in a great while, but you would think with the rubber or silicone tips that wouldn't be the case. And I haven't shouldn't say haven't had them fall out. I feel like I've had them get loose at least, and maybe they've fallen out if they weren't situated in there great. But having said that, overall, I do think they do a better job of staying in your ears, at least. So one of the nice things I guess I didn't mention was one of the nice things I like about these is there's actually, how on the standard ones you've got this wire mesh, as you get with any set of speakers, or you got the wire mesh that's where you actually hear it out of. With the pros, I'm just going to say it that way. You do have that, but you also have it on the tip. So one of my biggest gripes about the originals was that those would build up with wax, and then they'd get really clogged in there, and then you need to use alcohol or some other means, because over time that would really muffle the sound. Like, it would really dampen the sound if you didn't thoroughly clean them. So in this case, it's not really, the wire, the mesh is kind of deep inside that rubber piece. And so it's, first off, you're pretty unlikely of getting the wax even on it. It's a lot less likely, but even so, it's not, it's just this detachable silicone piece, and you could probably clean that pretty easily, and it's not gonna, basically, I think these are gonna last a lot longer for that reason, which I'm pretty excited about. One of the things that's different though, if you're not sure how they're gonna fit, is it does come with is it an app? Is it a separate app? I think it's a separate app. But anyway, you can, on your phone, they have this ear tip fit test. So you can try on each one, and then they'll do their best to kind of let you know how it's fitting. Problem is, I've had it tell me they fit well with multiple sizes. So I don't know how reliable that test really is, honestly. And as I mentioned, even with the rubber tips, there are times where I feel like they're still going to fall out. And I don't know, I feel like it's inevitable. I feel like, and sort of the funny thing here is that Apple owns Beats now, and Beats has a comparable, they have a price-wise, a comparable pair of Beats as well that is actually over the ear. And I don't remember if that's Beats X or what their latest one is.
I want to say it's Beats X, but I can't remember.
Right, so that is...
that's got a wire. You don't want wires.
Does that one have a wire?
No, they have some wireless ones too.
Yeah, I have a friend who's been on the show before. I think he's got the ones that are separate. So maybe that's not even Beats X.
Power Beats Pro.
Power Beats Pro, thank you. Right, so yeah, those wrap around the ear, and that's... it's like... That's probably a better option for someone that really needs something that's going to stay, indefinitely on your ear. The problem I've had with those in the past is those get uncomfortable very fast for me. Something that wraps around my ear for whatever reason, it really starts to hurt my ear. I don't know if you guys have had that experience with those, but so that's why ultimately I have these, I guess. And I don't know, I'm an Apple fanboy, clearly. So the other thing you'll notice, the stems, as we briefly mentioned, the stems are shorter, which I think is shorter but sexier. I mean, I think it's definitely, it looks, I've got these on obviously right now, but as you can kind of imagine, that's maybe doesn't look quite as ridiculous as having this thing dangling off,
It's less 90s telemarketer headset.
Yeah, it's true. So let's talk a little bit about the controls for these things. So on the previous one, it was very, very limited, where you just had to tap on the outside for certain things. Very limited, and they improved it a little bit with these, but I actually think it's maybe even a little less intuitive. They say press. They say you're supposed to press, but it is more of a, I think it's more of a pinch, because the way it works, you can't just tap on the thing. It's got this little groove. I have to really zoom in here, but it's got this little groove here on the stem. And what you have to do is you have to just kind of grab the whole stem and press on it, or like I said, pinch, because with my thumb and my index finger, I just kind of give it one of those, and that definitely takes some getting used to. So what you do is if you pinch it once, it plays, pauses, or answers calls. Twice skips forward, 3 times skips back, and if you hold it down, it'll switch between the different modes, which I'll get to in a little bit here. And you can do the hey, I don't want to say it here. You can do the hey, sorry, let's say. That works in the case of anything else. Yeah, and so I never use that. I don't really know, because I'll be at the gym and I'll be like, hey. That just seems really awkward to me.
It is weird to do that in public.
Yeah, for
But,
sure.
Still,
with that pinching, that's a really cool, interesting idea. I've got a pair of just kind of plain old black. I have an Android phone, so I just got a different kind of headset. But when this is in my ear and I got to push that button, I have to kind of either wedge my finger underneath there to pull it to get behind the headset so my thumb can push the button. Otherwise, if I'm just taking that and I'm pushing into my ear, which does not feel good at all, like it's not comfortable, and it feels like I'm doing something very bad to my
Yeah,
ear.
it sounds like you're harming it, maybe.
But that being able to take the bottom piece, the stem, and pinching it, seems like way better.
I was on.
Pushing it under your ear.
Yeah, that's true. Although it does feel like when I'm doing that, like it's like I'm gonna pull it out at the same time.
that would be my worry, is that I would like pinch, as I'm walking or something, and go to tap that and just pull it out of my ear. But
Right.
that could be me.
Yeah, that is a real concern, I think. I was on a plane and somebody had some of the Bose wireless, over the ear ones, and the controls on that were like they had a thing where you could slide the volume up and down, and because of that, and she let me try them out, but because of that got me thinking that I could do that on these, and I definitely can't. That is one of the things that is lacking for sure still on the AirPods, is any sort of volume control. And yeah, I can do it on my watch, and because I'm in the Apple ecosystem, yeah, I can do that pretty easily just with the crown, just up and down. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, not everyone's gonna have an Apple Watch. It'd be great to, and I'm sure at some point they're gonna do this, but it's super, for the time being, it's, especially when I'm spending this kind of money on these things, you'd think I'd be able to adjust the volume, but
Well, you don't want to just say, "Hey, assistant, volume up." Hey, volume
That's a
up,
good way
volume
of-
up, volume up.
I should have said it that way.
Right.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So one of the
Yeah, I don't-
things, what's that, Travis?
Oh, I was just gonna say I don't have them with me, but I have the AfterShokz. I was mentioning that before we started the show. They're bone conductive, and because they have the band that goes around behind your head, they have enough room to put buttons. So there's actually volume buttons right on them.
Oh, that's
As
cool.
well, which is pretty convenient.
Mm-hmm.
With the true wireless style, you don't have the real estate to do that, but it would be nice if there was something where you tap on one to volume up and tap on the other one to volume down, type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Hey, the Jen is here in the chat now. What's
Hey,
up?
Jen.
Okay, so the other thing, so there's the microphones on these guys, and they're on the bottoms in both cases, and I'm not talking about the noise canceling microphones and the actual proper microphones on these, just as a comparison here. So the originals is again, it's an open wire mesh, but they added this plastic sort of, at least I assume it's plastic, kind of cap on the end of the pros. And to me, that's awesome, because on the other ones, there were multiple issues I was having. First and foremost, you probably see this a little bit. It's got this green sort of oxidization going on. That happens all the time on these, because I use them working out, and I guess the sweat builds up, and that, I'm assuming that has something to do.
It's time to buy new ones.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd clean those up, and so Apple had a certain brush, and I think I've talked about it on the show before, that I ended up buying, off of Amazon, but it's got like a one kind of bristle on one side and one on the other, and that helps a lot with cleaning these, both the ear hole and the microphone part. But yeah, thankfully I haven't had to do that at all with the new ones. So not having to worry about that at all is a huge difference. First of all, I don't have to, doesn't get that build up, and it doesn't seem to impede the quality. If anything, I've had a lot better. These have worked a lot better, because I had a ton of issues with the microphone on the old one. just connectivity and some, I'd call people, they couldn't hear me at all. And then one time I took them into the Apple store and then they cleaned them for me and then they seemed to work better after that. So I guess that was a big part of the reason. I'm kind of making an assumption here also that the wind, like you probably don't get, like it probably acts as a natural windscreen, I would think. Like you're not going to hear that quite as much if you're out and about. But I don't know, for all I know, maybe the wind wasn't that much of an issue with these in the first place.
Well, and I think that one of the features is the noise canceling there's a little microphone on the outside that
Right.
on the Pro on the Pro version that's taking there's wind noise, cut those frequencies out and don't
True.
deliver those. Which I think that might be a part of it.
So yeah, I guess that would be true. It's confusing to think about, but I think that's more for the other, like the fact that the microphone's on the bottom. Yeah, like if you're getting, I don't know, it is confusing. So you're not going to hear the outside elements with the noise reduction or noise cancellation, for sure. But I guess, but then the other microphones maybe is a different story. I don't know if that makes sense. Separate sort of, the fact that it's microphones, but they're only for what you're hearing, right? I don't know.
I mean, could be. I don't know enough about how they work.
Yeah,
anymore.
it is.
Yeah.
I know very little myself, so I'm totally speculating here. But so I'll just talk a little bit about the audio. The quality is very good. Seems to have better bass than the previous ones, and I know they did an iteration of the originals also, which I think improved at least the volume, maybe the bass on those. But compared to the original, the very first ones, I think much better volume levels, and certainly noticeable bass has been improved as well. So just to kind of, as Tyler was alluding, there is noise canceling on these, and there's different modes you can do. It's really just two different modes. But the first off is I thought I was very impressed with the noise cancellation when I first tried these on. Then again, I hadn't had a lot of experience with any noise cancellation, and I've noticed the longer I've had them, it's maybe not quite as good as I originally thought, because you can definitely still hear things outside, but it is, given that these little things are just sitting in your ears, it's pretty crazy how, 1 minute you're hearing things around you, and then all of a sudden it just totally dampens it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty awesome. And then surprisingly, it was this transparency mode that actually sort of reverses it, and it amplifies things around you, which part of me is kind of like, is that like spying? But
It's like a hearing aid.
it is like a hearing aid. It is very much like a hearing aid. At the same time, I think what it's doing is it's really just giving you the sound around you that you would hear if you didn't have them in the first place.
Probably.
Right. So I think they do a good job of making, not sort of like super amplifying the sound around you, at least. And having said that, there is also an optional off mode, right? So just turning both the noise canceling and transparency off. The default is to not have that on at all, so that so you have the option to switch between those three, but like I said, by default, it's only going to switch between the noise canceling and the transparency mode, which is that's what I have it set to by default, because there's not really a moment, unless I'm trying to save like a little bit of battery life, and I think it equates to about a half hour of battery life if you don't have it turned on at all. But I just switch between the noise canceling and the transparency. I think that's the way to go. So and also in terms of the controls on here, you can independently switch between the noise control and Siri. If you want Siri in one or both, you can do that as well. The battery, I thought initially lasted a really long time, and over time, it seems like maybe it's not as impressive as when I first got them, but I could be imagining that. I mean, battery does obviously drain over time. It does lessen as time goes on, as Apple has pointed out in recent years when they kind of had their own sort of battery gate, I guess, for lack of a better term. But it does seem significantly better than the original ones. They claim up to, and this is kind of what I was talking about before, up to 4.5 to 5 hours listening time, and that depends on if you're not using any noise control, it'd be more like 5 hours. But up to 3.5 hours of talk time. So I guess if you're talking on the phone, that drains the battery more. Mm-hmm. And which I guess makes sense because that's using the microphone. Then it's really the deal.
Yeah,
there,
that's
I would
always
imagine.
been a thing with headsets.
Sure. So the case. So as you might
down there.
as you might have heard in the past, that the floss style case, which I can't believe I didn't mention yet. It looks, that's the one thing about this. They probably made it look less like a floss container, but they do charge while they're in the case. That's still the case. And so it does over 24 hours of listening time, total charge time on this thing, 18 hours of talk time, and 5 minutes. This is kind of impressive. If it's in the case for 5 minutes, it charges it gives you about an hour of battery life each on the AirPods themselves, which I thought was 5 minutes. That's pretty nuts.
Not too bad.
So it does charge over, and some people might not like this, but yeah, Lightning cable for both, as you can see, which is, it does come with, at least it comes with a Lightning to USB-C cable, but it also does wireless charging as well, which my original pair did not. They did come out with the wireless case for the original AirPods, but you can't get a pair of AirPods Pro without having the wireless capability. I think there's just one pair of AirPods Pro at this point.
Which makes more sense nowadays anyway.
Right.
Yeah. If you're going to have that capability, just bake it in.
Exactly. Yeah. Some other things to keep in mind. It is, and I don't know that much about, waterproof, water resistance, but it's IPX4 sweat and water resistant, which is another thing I really like. It was a big determining factor in getting these, because I run, well, right now I'm not running at all, but normally because I'm afraid of the cold, and so I spend a lot of time on the treadmill, and right now I don't own a treadmill, so I'm kind of SOL at the moment. But yeah, it's great for that, just being sweat proof essentially, or resistant. I don't quite understand the differences between all those, but
well, it all has to do with how long it can be resistant to that. So IPX4, I think what that's for is wear it when you're working out. Don't take a bath in it. Don't swim with them in. Don't jump in the shower with the AirPods on. They're not going to be able to handle that. But just the sweat that you're going to get from working out, they'll be fine with that. Or if you happen to be out running in a light rain, you're going to be fine. But you don't want to be diving into a puddle or something like that with them in.
Yeah, I just looked up the IPX ratings, and IPX4 is resistant to water splashes from any direction.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Splashes. And
I know some of the waterproof depends on depth, right?
Pressure.
IPX7 is one meter for 30 minutes, and deeper than a meter. Depends on your rating.
So basically, but these you don't want to go swimming with, it sounds like. I mean, they wouldn't stay in anyway. I know that.
Right, they just float away. But even still, you don't want to swim with those. And it's like the watch. The watch was resistant. You could swim in it up to, I think it was I want to say it was a couple of meters.
Yeah.
But you don't want to go water skiing with an Apple Watch because the high pressure spray that you get from something like that will get in and will wreck those.
Oh,
'Cause it can
interesting.
get past those gaskets.
Yeah, because I put these in the water all the time, and even the shower. But I'm hoping the shower isn't that much pressure.
Shower isn't pressure enough to damage it.
Ever since the Series 2, I've just taken
Yeah.
it in the shower. And there was some rumor at one point that Tim Cook would take his original first gen Apple Watch in the shower, but that was just a rumor. I don't know for sure.
Well,
It
he
might be
knows
off
a
the
guy
record.
who can get a replacement if you.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say he's not too worried about it.
So on their specs, they also mentioned this pressure equalization vent system. I have no clue what that's talking about, but at the same time, I will tell you there are times. One of the weird things about these, and I noticed that at first on a plane, and I still don't know for sure if I'm technically supposed to use these on a plane, but that you get a weird if you just press on the outside, and I don't know if it's one of these outside speakers they have on these things, but if you press on it while it's in your ear, it will make this high-pitched noise. And I maybe that has something to do with the pressure equalization thing, but it's annoying. It's a minor thing, but it is annoying when you're trying to push it in your ear more because it's feeling loose, and you get that weird like. The way I will describe it to you is when Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer nose is lighting up. It's exactly how it sounds for some reason. And I'm sure I've seen some things out there. People kind of complain about it, but it is a minor gripe of mine with these. But at the same time, something to do with pressure equalization. I guess that's a good thing.
Probably just you're jamming something into your ear, and maybe the fear is that you're pushing air down deep in there into the eardrum.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I could think of. I'm not an ear doctor.
that sounds right. Sure, we'll go with that. Also has Bluetooth 5.0, which, each iteration of Bluetooth seems to be getting better. I know over the years I've had a lot of issues with Bluetooth, but this seems pretty solid, or at least more. There are still connectivity issues I have here and there where it'll only connect to one or the other, and it's like, and then I have to put them back in the case and take them out, and that's just something I'm hoping over time that gets better and better. We build upon that, but I get it. Like it's a complex technology. I'm not going to pretend like it's not, but first world problems, I guess. It does have this H1 chip in it, which can imagine H is for headphones, I guess. They try to do this with their other chips. They'll use a letter that represents, with the watch W. No, I can't remember. The phone is I can't think of any of them right now. M is one of them, I know. Anyway, they don't really provide more, speed specs than that from what I could see, but it is $249, not $2.49, but $249 on Apple.com and other places, I'm sure. As far as I know, their online store is still open, and even though they closed their physical locations. So I'm gonna give these guys a the Pods Pro a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and that's my take on the AirPods Pro. Any questions?
Are you able to, if you could, does it default to, a lot of earbuds will default to one, like the right earbud? That's the one with the microphone. And if you want to make a call and you want to only use one at a time, does it default to one side, or are you able to just pull out either one
So
and it just works?
that's a good question. You are able to pull out either one, and if I think there's a setting in here that gives you like a preference if you have a preference on one over or the other, but
Okay.
I think it does. Now that you mentioned, I'm pretty sure it just kind of chooses one. So it must be the first one that you put in, I would imagine.
Okay. Because my kind of cheaper Soundcore Liberty Neo ones, the it defaults. It wants to have the right earbud be the main one, and then that links to the left earbud. And so, but you can do if you pull out the left one, you have to just sync. You have to select it on your phone as it's a separate device. It's a separate Bluetooth device, which is a little
Oh,
weird. But it
yeah.
does technically give me the ability to do. I could run the right earbud for 4 hours or however long it takes, and then when that one dies, I just swap to the left earbud only, and while I charge the right one in the case. So I could swap back and forth, but I do need to go on my phone and select the other Bluetooth device.
I've had a pair
use.
like that, and I've been getting Bluetooth. I don't even want to know how much money I've spent on these over the years, but I've been getting Bluetooth headphones since the Jaybirds,
Yep.
and though when those were, well, now that seems cheap, but I think you'd spend like 100 on the original ones. And now clearly I'm willing to spend even more, but it's still not Bose level money. If I may point out. But that's about it.
True.
That's about it for that, I suppose. So don't have any feedback, as you can imagine. Even though this whole time been off the air, nobody's wrote in. It's fine. It's all fine. It's all good. Maybe we can get some more listeners, though, right? Call
There you
in.
go.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Spread the word. techiespodcast@gmail.com is the email address you can reach us at for that. We are on Twitter at techiespodcast. And we used to record at 7 p.m. Central Time. Right now, I'm just going to kind of keep it open to Sunday afternoons in general. But that's kind of hopefully the plan moving forward. And let's see, what else here? Before I'm going to also say niceguynetwork.com/techies is the website. And God, I still have iTunes in here. I think Apple's officially moving over to, well, both Apple Music and Apple Podcasts. And let's just say Apple Podcasts is a place you could leave us a rating, maybe. Do other places still say iTunes for podcasts? I don't know how that works anymore.
For me
I don't know.
personally, I'm still in the habit of saying iTunes.
Yeah.
It's like saying Xerox or Kleenex. Like, it's sort of a brand, and you know it. Like, it's iTunes. But I'm with you. Like, I'm trying to remember. No, it's Apple Podcasts, but I still end up saying iTunes.
Right. So I want to thank you guys so much for being on today, and I want to also give you a chance to talk about the things that you're doing out there. So let's start with you, Travis. Where can people find you?
So I'm TV's Travis basically everywhere. Twitter, and my website is tvstravis.com, and that's where my podcast, Wait You Haven't Seen, which both of you have been on in the past. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Where we watch a movie, and usually it's always somebody's first time seeing whatever movie it is. In fact, I'm going to be recording later on today. I found Jay Dimes from Joystick and Mouse had never seen Top Gun before, so we're fixing that problem because he's going to watch Top Gun.
Nice.
So he's watching that, and we're going to talk about it tonight. But yeah, tvstravis.com and TV's Travis everywhere. And I do want to make a quick plug for the Epic Film Guys do every year, and I just found out about it this year, but they do a 48-hour long stream. It's live stream for The Cure, where they live stream for 48 hours over the course of like 3 days, I think it is, to raise money for cancer research. And they're looking to raise somewhere in the neighborhood of, last I saw anyway, $10,000 this year.
Awesome.
So live stream for The Cure. I believe it's livestreamforthecure.com. And I just thought that was a really cool thing, and I want to plug it whenever I have a chance because I love stuff like that. And, cancer's touched everybody's life at some point. And I just think it's really cool. So check that out. It's live. I'm almost positive it's livestreamforthecure.com.
That's awesome. Thank you, Travis, for that. And Tyler, what about you?
If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at Ronald Foos. I've got a couple podcasts that I do. You can find them all at club.fail. On one of them, Talking Fail, I just had Travis on. And but the other one, the Discographers, is a music history and technical analysis show where we pick a band and we go through their albums one at a time and kind of just do a deep dive into what makes them great and or interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really enjoying both of your guys' shows at the moment. So keep doing what you're doing. Good stuff. You can also find me at Shave Mad Ox on all the things, all the podcasts. NiceGuyNetwork.com, as I mentioned, is also where you can find my stuff. So thank you guys very much for being on. Thank you, listeners, for being here. Very much appreciated. And until next time, tech her easy.
Please hang up and try again.
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 I like that voice you have for all those.
Thanks. Well, that one. So I have the. I actually have the original Siri voice that I use for. Well, it's because they've changed it a couple times now, but technically Apple calls it Samantha in their dictation app. But
really?
but that British one is I don't. It was just some stock thing that came with GarageBand, I think. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I actually, at one point, I think I might still be following Susan Bennett was the original voice of Siri.
Oh,
And I follow
wow.
her on Twitter.
And of course, it's another S name.
Yeah. Because that doesn't make things confusing at all.
Nah.
Susan, the Siri Samantha voice. Cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was
All right, well-
this was a lot of fun. I'm glad to be getting
Yeah,
back
yeah.
into it.
Yeah, let me know next time you got some slots. I'll hop in.
Sounds
Yeah,
great.
anytime.
Really do. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully, yeah, sooner than later. See you guys.
Definitely.
Not like I got a lot of us going on, right?
I was gonna say I've got plenty of time.
Right. All right. Yeah, I'm going to hop off. I got some stuff to get ready, and I might even take a nap. I don't know.
Sounds
Oh,
good.
nice.
Because it's Sunday and there's nothing else happening.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, I'll be doing my show later on. So if you guys are bored, hop in the stream.
Cool.
I'll
Yeah,
post it on
I'll
Twitter.
try to.
Sounds great.
All
Thanks
right,
a lot, you
see you
guys.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Take care.